Hello, I'm here with Salvatore Alessandro Miceli. It's such an honor to have you here. You ready to start the
It's an
interview?
honor to be here.
Yeah,
It's an honor to be here. Hello, everybody, and thank you for inviting.
yeah. Really thankful for Salvatore taking the time for this interview. It's really great. I've enjoyed talking to him a little bit already. Now we're going to formally start the interview. So first question for you is, where are you from?
Yes. Well, as my accent will tell throughout the interview, I'm from Italy, and especially I come from Sicily, from a village in the middle of Sicily. So there's no sea at my place, but yeah, it's not far. I come from Caltanissetta, specifically Serra di Falco, and yes, I grew up there, and I have spent most of my life there. Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay, and what do you admire most about Italy?
Yes, this is a very interesting question. I think that in Italy there are so many things that I like,
Mhm,
of course, because it's my place and I feel comfortable in it.
mhm,
And I really like the fact that Italy is very much a variety of things. So you can think of the south of Italy, and there are so many regions which are incredible to explore. The food is, of course, I mean, for me, it's the best in the world. The cultural heritage that we have, I think, is also very quite tangible. You can feel it. You just walk and you see things which are from 2000 years ago, and this for me are points that are really exceptional. And then, of course, as I was saying, the variety, because in Italy we have such a variety of paysage environments. In the north, you have the beautiful Alps. In the south, you have, of course, the sea. You have, of course, all the Greeks heritage. So yeah, I mean, pretty much the variety that maybe of course, you find in every country in the world, but yeah, I would say that in Italy it's really quite unique how you can pass from the mountain Alps to the Sea of Sardinia or Sicily. Yeah,
mhm,
it's quite wonderful. And then, yeah, I say it as the last thing, but for me it's the most important thing. I mean, the family values which are in Italy. I think these are very important things that I really value and appreciate.
mhm. Um,
Yes.
do you have like a favorite Italian food or an Italian food that you like to make?
Yeah, I would say that my favorite Italian food is pizza.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not out of the cliche. Sadly, I'm
Uh-huh.
not so special. I'm not so interesting on that. But I'm not able to make a good pizza. I actually tried
Really?
to learn it during COVID times. I actually did some with my mom supervising, but I'm not getting there yet.
Like margarita pizza, or is there a certain type that you like?
For me, it's Regina, so it's with mushroom and prosciutto.
Okay. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I like pizza a lot too. My grandmother taught me how to make pizza, and I probably don't
Well,
make it nearly as well as your mother does. But I
no, I
like
mean,
making pizza.
wow, that's great.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
great.
Okay. Can you tell us about your music school background? So, where have you gone to university and who have you studied with?
Yes, of course. If we talk about music background, then it's not just university, because, for example, the Italian system is made in a way that you start your development as a young kid, I would say. So you usually start around 8, 9. I
Oh,
started
wow.
quite late because it was my idea to do it. I don't come from a family of musicians, so I started at 12. But then I started already after one year with the Orchestra d'Harmonie. It's a symphonic band, I would say, that is very popular in the south of Italy. After one year of that, I straight went to the Conservatorio of Caltanissetta, and this conservatory was offering, and all conservatories in Italy are offering some pre-graduate courses, which is not the undergrad. It's like very much before. all what is a bachelor or a master. And so I did, I think, 5 or 6 years of that, leading up to bachelor. Then I did my bachelor in Italy, in Caltanissetta, my master as well. It was during my master was during the years of COVID. So I studied with my 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 first teacher of saxophone. His name is Federico Alba, and then I went to Bordeaux. I studied with Marie Bernadette Charrier for
Mhm.
2 years, and I did another bachelor. Then I studied 1 year in Brussels with Vincent David, and now I'm actually in Paris with Nicolas Arsenievich, and so I'm pursuing a master of classical saxophone, and this is my second year.
Great. Can you tell us about some of your experiences with your past and current teachers? Like what are your favorite experiences with them? What do you think about when you think of these professors?
Yes, I think there are really very distinct memories
Mhm.
for each one of them because, of course, they are different people. They also work in a different way,
Yes.
but for sure they shaped me so much in those years. About my first teacher, Federico, well, I would say I mean, he's like a father to me,
Hmm.
really, sincerely. Because of course, when you start with somebody and then you do 9 years with a person, not only knows you, but also I would say there is something that maybe many times in higher education you don't find, which is a human, really kind of relationship. It's not just professional, you know. And
Hmm.
so I could really feel that what he was doing, he was not just doing it because it was his job, you know. He was
Hmm.
doing it because really believed in me, and this was, yeah, this was the point that for me was most important about our time together. And then, well, of course, I remember the experiences when he was playing. He had such an easiness in playing simple tonguing. For example, this was one of the things that I never could get my head around. It was getting, yeah, really out of my comprehension. Uh, then with my other teachers, I had also wonderful experiences, but I was already more mature. So I was 21, 22 when I went with Maribe, and for me, what was a great thing about her teaching and her personality is the energy she put
Hmm.
into it. It's such an energetic woman. She puts really 100%, 110% of her capacity in terms of power, in terms of energy, in terms of organization, because she's super organized. And so this taught me a lot also about what does it mean to be a musician, you know? Because she had always a lot of projects, especially with contemporary music. She was having a project every week or every second week. So this kind of seeing somebody, and this is also the case of my two other teachers, Vincent David and Nicola, you know,
Hmm.
seeing people who are having so much to do in their life and still being able to take really the time to teach good the students every week. Yeah, this is a point which is common to them. Then, of course, I could talk about the fact that for me they are references in what they do. I mean, they play fantastically good.
Hmm.
So with Vincent David, with Nicolas, I mean, you just feel that they have experienced so much in music, on the saxophone. They know really, I wouldn't say everything because maybe nobody knows everything about something, but yeah, they really have a quality of knowledge which is precious. So yeah, these are some important traits that really mark me, and yeah, it's really an example for me to follow, to
Uh-huh.
try and be as good, to try and do as good. Yeah.
All right, great. Okay, so this might overlap a little bit. Who are some of the most influential or inspiring professional saxophonists to you?
Yes. Well, for me, of course, my teachers, all my
Hmm.
teachers, and especially my teachers have been my most influential people.
Hmm.
Then, of course, I really appreciate a lot, and I'm really open to the different saxophones that you can hear around the world. So, for example, when I listen to the jazz of Baptiste Urban,
Uh-huh.
I just, I just, yeah, I just appreciate it
Hmm.
even more because it's different and I cannot really understand what he's doing, but it's just great. It sounds fantastic. So, yeah, there are a lot of things that I appreciate, even if I don't necessarily understand them. But if we are talking specifically about the classical world, I would say that for me, the references are, of course, people like Arno Bornkamp, Nobuya Togawa, Claude Delangle, all these players from, I would say, the generation of the 50s, 60s.
Uh-huh.
For me, I mean, they really made the saxophone in a certain way. And of course, I really look up to all the great American players, Timothy McAllister, Otis Murphy. I know them, I listen to them, of course, many times virtually. But yeah, what I try to do, if I may try to have a synthesis to my way of listening to things, is actually to take the good out of everything what I listen to, because of course we are not always able to understand what the person is doing and also what is the style of this person. Maybe sometimes we also be in a disagreement with the style, with the choices of a person, but in my opinion, in every professional player, there is always some things which are really unique about him and that you can really take. And I feel that an intelligent person, a clever person, should listen to the others, not with this kind of judging position, saying, yeah, this is not my style, so I don't like it.
Hmm.
No, maybe let's try first to understand what are the good points, what are the good parts, and so this is what I try to do, and that's also why I think I listen to as much things as possible without really judging what is better and what is not as good. Um, then, yeah, at the end we are in such a small world, especially the saxophonists.
Yeah.
I would say if we try to already judge people depending on the fact that this is more influential, this is less influential, I mean, already we are not very influential in general. Sadly, we are doing a very, very specific thing. So, yeah, I like to listen to a lot of different saxophones and then, yeah, try to find my path.
All right. Yeah, yeah. Great. Um, so do you have any other favorite instrumentalists? So like violin, piano, flute, clarinet, like who are some other people that you listen to?
Yeah, I think that for me, on this question, I could answer, I don't know how many, but many different answers.
Sure.
And it goes a lot with the time you find me in, in this
Hmm.
moment, in this exact moment. So it's October of 2025.
Uh-huh.
I'm really fascinated about the fact that the sound of the oboe, and in
Okay.
particular one oboe player, which is Albrecht Meyer,
Okay.
it it really, I don't know, it has something, an opening, a vibration which is supernatural. And so this is something that I really look up to, and yeah, I'm quite amazed by these qualities that I can find. Maybe also because I can relate to the fact that it's a woodwind instrument, so there is a sort of connection also with the saxophone, especially the soprano saxophone.
Hmm.
But when I listen to his three romances by Schumann,
Yeah.
well, I feel that there is something in the sound that I can look for. And then, yeah, of course, on the violin, for example, my all-time idol. I know that many people will maybe not be in agreement because today there are so many new players who are playing fantastically. But when I listen to Perlman,
Hmm.
yeah, for me it's just goosebumps. So yeah, yeah, I think I have a kind of old school
Uh-huh.
standards for listening to things. Not maybe the most youngest people, but yeah, right now. But as I'm saying, this one is always evolving, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Are you playing any oboe music right now?
In this moment, not exactly, but I'm planning to play the Saint-Saëns Sonata
Okay.
for oboe, the one in three movements for oboe and piano.
Hmm.
And yeah, for example, on that one, of course, maybe the reference would be more a French oboe player because it's French music.
Hmm.
But yeah, the instrument itself, it's really it has something quite that for a long time I didn't actually realize, but yeah, right now I'm really quite in love with this kind of nature of sound.
Hmm. Yeah, I haven't listened to many oboe players in my time, so I'm excited to look up that person you were talking about, and I'm excited to
Yes,
see what they sound like.
uh, yeah, he
Um,
is the principal of Berlin Philharmonic. So I mean, we are talking about
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think one of the best in the world. Yeah, it's really, and also his way of playing is very simple. It doesn't move a lot. It doesn't show a lot.
Hmm.
It's really inspiring. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Um, are there any players you think of to create your saxophone sound or your tone? And do you have a process to develop your personal sound?
Yeah, for sure. I've looked up and I continue to look up to all the players I mentioned,
Hmm.
really, because I feel that in a certain way, from the moment you can recognize a player and you can tell, oh, okay, it's this person playing, there is something deeply good about it, you know. Of course, I'm not. I mean, I'm not trying. I think different just to be unique and to be recognized because this would be I think it's pushing too much. There is no need to do that. I think that since we are different people and we have all a different personality and different backgrounds, then it will also come out in the saxophone sound we produce. So it's not a process of trying to be different because I
Hmm.
have to be recognized, but I would say that then a good maybe point for yeah, for a development of a saxophone sound or any instrument sound or voice sound, I think is the moment where you feel maybe comfortable in your own skin, I would say.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's a concept that is very clear. It doesn't mean a lot for sure, but it's like a sensation that yeah, you are playing and you feel in adequation with the sound you are producing, so that your personality and the sound, yeah, it combines good.
Hmm.
There is not an opposition, and I think that maybe many times when you want to get to something that is not meant for you,
Hmm.
then you will sense this kind of thing. Maybe you get to this kind of sound, but I don't know if it's not natural to you, then I feel that it will never really work out.
Hmm.
So yeah, more than players, I would say that as much as when I listen to them, I try to keep the ear to what is good about everybody and why it's recognizable as a sound as a whole, and yeah, and I try to look up to that and try to emulate it. Then of course there are some exercises that I try to not skip in my routine. For
Hmm.
example, I practice quite a lot with overtones,
Hmm.
but not only in the classical, I would say, Sigurd Rascher way or Sinta way. I try to apply them in the phrases I'm doing. So to play, for example, one note normal, one note overtone, one note normal, one note overtone, and this kind of flexibility, I think it gives you then more choice, more
Hmm.
possibility to choose. I think I'm at the end I'm looking for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot
Hmm.
of choices. Not necessarily something which is also because I'm young and I feel that I'm evolving. So having more choices, I think, is really always a good option. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, the overtone thing you were talking about, that really reminds me of Vincent David's method book. Is that
Yes.
do you read out of that, or do you have that one?
Yes, of course. Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
I've
a
been
very good reference. It's a very good reference. It's well made. There are some very interesting exercises, and also for me, it makes a nice synthesis another time. It's not something which will talk about everything, and in every detail possible. It exposes the exercise, then it says you, yeah, maybe you can now transpose it in all the 12 keys. So it makes your brain work a bit, and I think it's very good. Yeah, it's a very good leçon au saxophone, vocalité. It's about the vocality also, the nature of the sound of the saxophone, which is of course related to the vocalization, if I may use this term. I don't know if
Yeah.
it exists.
Hmm.
Yeah, to the vocalization, how you think it, what is this, the vowel you have in your mouth. So yeah, these things are of course very very necessary. And yeah, I could not imagine to play the saxophone and maybe having a routine and skipping completely that part. Yeah, I think it might be, on the long term, maybe not very good. I think to keep things all right and to keep things in shape, to always have a bit of overtones, to always have, of course, a bit of scales, a bit of arpeggio, a bit of arpeggios, to maybe have one study also. Why not? Because this thing, for example, in the bachelor or master level, we quite always forget, me as the first, but maybe to have, the routine of preparing one study every week. For example, art studies, for example, I don't know, the Nouvelle Etude Variable on the X, or there are some crazier ones like the Margoni. There are many crazy studies that you can do even at master level, and maybe to prepare one every week, it keeps you strong also in the sight reading part.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm sorry, we were talking about the sound, but then we talk about a lot of things, but yeah, about the routine as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you studied with Vincent David for a year, right?
Yes. Yes.
Is overtones something that he really focused on a lot when you were learning with him?
I would say that in his pedagogy, it's not that he would focalize a lot on overtones. In his pedagogy, he wouldn't focalize a lot on, I would say, basically any technical question.
Sure, yeah.
His approach was really much like thinking about everything as something which has to be natural. So of course, then he would guide you to some exercises, but the lesson, in my kind of experience, then of course it's different with other people who studied with him and with every person. But I would say it was always more on the music side, and of course proposing exercises, proposing way which actually work to do the things. But it was a lot of times, for example, just him sitting at the piano playing with you,
Hmm.
the accompaniment to, I don't know, an important sonata of our repertoire, and trying to find the color, trying to find the articulation, the intonation. So I would say that he is very much on the musical side, and when things don't work technically, he is really very much resourced about every possible trick to help you figure
Hmm.
the thing out. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say that overtone is one thing, or I don't know, scales is one thing.
Yeah.
It's really a whole. But what you would do is always go with a musical piece, and then you maybe deconstruct the things which are not working or less well working.
Sure. Yeah. Um, so you kind of talked about this a little bit already, but what are some of the most important fundamentals to that we need to practice to become a great player? So you were talking about overtones a little bit, scales,
Yeah.
arpeggios. What are some other things you think people should be focusing on regularly in their practice to become great?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if great exists, or for sure me, I'm not great, So I can answer from a perspective of somebody who is trying to. I mean, let's say it like that. Already, I don't think that you should think of great. I think
Hmm.
that nowadays what is really important is being professional. So being professional for me means that every aspect, technical aspect and musical aspect of the music you are proposing should work in a certain way. So for this, I don't think there is many secrets, you know. The more you do scales, the more your fingers will be precise.
Mm-hmm.
The more you study articulation, the more your articulation will be varied and interesting. The more you learn new music, the more you will have a repertoire which will put you in the situation to be called for a concert in 3 days and being able to say, yes, I can play that because I have it in my repertoire, you know. So
Yeah.
for me, it's not a thing of course, but I think it's a byproduct then that you will be seen as somebody who is great in what he's doing. But I think that what we should all strive to achieve is yeah, being the most professional we can. So being the most in tune, being the most homogeneous with our sounds when it's needed to be homogeneous, the most expressive. Um, yeah, I think it's more about that, and then the personality will of course come out, and at that point, then maybe somebody else will look at you and will say, "Ah, wow, I really like." But if it's not professional, so if you didn't really work on the basis, which are the basis that at the end I think 100 years ago were the same. Maybe not the altissimo register, it was not developed, but I think it's always the same since Marcel Mule. I didn't see, of course, the style changed, but yeah, the staccato is always staccato, the
Mm-hmm.
fingers are always fingers. The embouchure which works is an embouchure which allows you to be in tune and to regulate your vibrato. So, yeah. But then if you want to get more specific about what I personally do, yeah, I would say that I try to practice scales regularly. I try to practice arpeggios regularly. I'm not very much practicing studies right now because it's a lot of things and maybe you don't get to that. But I would say that I have an approach when I learn a piece, especially a new piece, that is very much like a study. So I impose myself that like in 1 week, either I read all of it or I read one movement. You know that my reading is already good, so I have all the notes, maybe not at the tempo, but I have all the notes good. Then I try to focus really on details like homogeneity, which is always a bit tricky on our instrument. I try as soon as possible to rehearse it with piano.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my process is very important, you know. And all these things, I believe, they make you more professional. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so in a certain way then maybe somebody will see you as great, but for me the most important is yeah, try already to be really the most professional you can, because yeah, sometimes I feel that we can easily forget that a good attack, a good vibrato, and a good tone at the end I mean, if it's not this, what is it?
Mm-hmm.
I think the end. But yeah, we can get confused maybe when we try and explore some things without really getting the core of
Yeah.
the playing.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, how do you approach learning a transcription differently from learning saxophone repertoire?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because of course we are pushed to learn transcriptions,
Mm-hmm.
and this is very important for me. But I think that the question is interesting also from another point of view. If you want a sister of this question, is maybe what we can learn from the process of learning transcriptions for our repertoire. Because at the end, a transcription is nothing else than music from the past, a past we were not, or music from the present where another instrument was chosen and not the saxophone. So, in a certain way, I think it's very important not to devise too much the kind of approach you have. You know, of course, what is important, since we are doing at the end quite often violin transcriptions, cello transcriptions, we are doing clarinet music, we are doing oboe music,
Mm-hmm.
woodwinds in general. So what is important is, of course, to try and have the reference of the original, which can nurture your playing, your sound, your way of doing articulation, of course, your dynamic range. This is also very important. You know, when you play, for example, a sonata for violin, you will of course, try not to get to the limit of what a fortissimo can be for a saxophone. I mean, this is something that we can easily, and for me, it's really a thing that I have to think about, not to take everything literally, because a fortissimo for a violin or a cello, it's of course not the fortissimo of a soprano in the altissimo,
Yeah.
or a baritone playing loud. And this is something that, for me makes us seen as maybe not very professional again, when we present something in a way that is, yeah, completely unadapted to the original instrument. But then, again, the synthesis for me should be that you play a transcription, and in a certain way, it should sound like, or even if even like if the composer would have written for saxophone, so to make it so natural that it's, yeah, that there is the illusion that in a parallel universe, Schumann could have written it for saxophone actually.
Yeah.
And so, of course, then it passes through a lot of culture that, because of our repertoire, we often don't have, because we don't have this kind of culture, to access easily a Baroque piece. We don't
Hmm.
have this culture. So, of course, the transcription is, it carries a lot of things that we should learn first, like interest ourselves. The ornamentation was in Baroque music, and which kind of Baroque music it is, if it's Italian style, French style, German style. And yeah, there is much more going on to just playing the notes than just playing the notes, I would say.
Hmm.
So yeah, every transcription is different, of course, because of his period, because of the composer. But as long as we make the effort, to research about the composer, to research about the music, to listen as much as we can different recordings of the original, then I think we already start on a good basis. And then, if I may be honest, I'm not a very big fan of transcriptions which are really on the extremely pushy side of saxophone technique. Because, I mean, in a certain way, we also show too easily the possible weaknesses of our instrument. For example, when we want to play the high altissimo on the soprano, and it's an altissimo originally from a violin. I mean, it will sound differently. So either we find a way to compromise something, to, I don't know, do an octave lower.
Hmm.
I mean, it's great to be dreamers. I'm a dreamer. I try to do as much as I can, But then I feel that what is good again is to show something professional. So something where you're like comfortable. Okay, it's hard, but we can manage it. We can play it. And I feel that when it gets to just the trying to push the limit, it's important to make the saxophone progress, but it's not always interesting to be proposed on stage. Maybe this
Hmm.
is this is what I feel. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, maybe I'm going from the question.
No, no, no. So you were talking about listening to the recording as much as possible. So let's take like at Andorra, like the Izai obsession, for example. Would you
Yeah.
would you listen to different recordings of that piece every day, or would you try to just listen to violin in general a lot, so you don't like take too many ideas from references, or do you embrace listening to just that piece with a lot of different players?
I mean, I feel that it can become then quite. Yeah, quite exhausting to listen just to that piece, I think
Yeah.
that what is usually done is that, yeah, you try to acclimate a bit with the violin itself,
Hmm.
with your saxophone. So maybe, I don't know, you could always play other transcriptions at the same time, maybe
Yeah.
which are not that hard, which are not that demanding. So you try to really enter into this sound, and of course you try your best to play a saxophone which cannot be a violin, because we won't be a violin, that's for sure. But to play a saxophone which again can be accepted professionally in a way that the composer is respected, that the style is respected. So for this, I would say listen as much violin as possible. At least that's what I do. As much viola as possible, as much cello as possible. All these families can help you. Especially for me, it was the case because I did the transcription on alto saxophone. So I feel that for alto saxophone, I would say gold standard, if you want to go on the strings, maybe it's the viola. It's between the viola and the violin, so listen to some viola to have an idea of the sound, to have an idea of articulation on viola, on the low register, high register, how it's homogeneous or not homogeneous. Because what we forget at the end, the saxophone is sometimes too homogeneous. You can play loud in every register. But for example, the beauty of a violin or a flute is that you cannot play loud in every register. It's
Hmm.
simply not possible. So, for example, the altissimo of the violin in Isaïe, it will sound natural because it's not that loud,
Hmm.
and because the instrument makes that, yeah, it's manageable. With the saxophone, of course, it's possible. You have to try, but I would say the tendency of the saxophone is to have a sort of homogeneity of volume, of possibility of articulation, because we can articulate everywhere basically the same way. Yeah, there are many things that maybe you have to try to rethink, and the most easy way is for sure to listen to this instrument on maybe even on a regular basis, I would say, not just
Hmm.
if you are preparing for
Yeah,
something
yeah.
specific. I think it's important to maybe listen to them as much as you can. Go to see some orchestra concerts, and already you will
Hmm.
see how they move, how the sound is related to the way they move.
Yes.
I mean, of course, I'm talking like I was perfect, like I was looking at 5 concerts per week. It's not the case, but everybody tries to do his best. Maybe I try, and especially in that period, I was going to more concerts of my colleagues and everybody who plays string instruments. I think it's important, yeah.
Yeah.
If we just approach the piece and then we listen a lot to that piece, yeah, of course we will know better maybe the first movement, because it was the first movement of a sonata.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, at least listen to the sonata, maybe listen to the suite, because the sonata is inside a box of 6 sonatas. So maybe already you listen to the 6 solo sonatas of Isaïe, and then you listen to the relation that there is, because okay,
Hmm.
sonata and partita for solo violin of Bach, and then you listen to Bach.
Hmm.
So I mean, very easily then you get to listen to all music for strings,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
What do practice sessions look like when you're preparing for a competition? And do you have a daily routine on the day of or a few days before leading up to a competition to mentally prepare?
Yeah, for competition, it's actually, yeah, I would say it's a job itself to try and to prepare
Hmm.
for a competition, especially when you have a lot of repertoire to prepare. Yeah, I try to be as organized as possible. So this means having, for example, in one week, if I know that I have 12 good performance practice, uh, let's say, 2 hours, which are free, which are really just for practicing. Then I do 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, 2 hours in the evening. So I would say I try to practice not less than 4 or 5 hours, I would say, which is not a lot, but again, if you are um, if you're serious with it and you continue pushing for the 6 hours every day with maybe sometimes a day off, I mean, it gets really fruitful. You can really learn a lot from it.
Hmm.
So I try to be organized with that and to be serious to myself, because I know that if I make an investment of time, which will take me some months, basically, to a competition, which is just one event, then I try to be as serious as possible with myself, so maybe not go out too much. And this is a part which is very important: to sleep good, to have rest every night, to do sports. This is also very important. So many times we forget about it because we play the saxophone, so we are already moving. But to have sport is fundamental, especially I don't know, going to run or going to swim. This I think crucial because you develop also the possibility and the capacity to to sustain some BPMs which are a bit higher than normal. So this is always very good. And the actual practice session, I'm trying to imagine it, especially in the month, I would say in the month before the preparation, before the competition, sorry. I try to really play the things, you know. So, for example, the first round, I play it. The second round, I play it, and then I work it. The third round, I play it once, and then I work it. So this is very important for me to play actually the things, play the program. No matter whether you have your pianist, no matter whether you're playing just solo music, you actually play it. You know, you put yourself in the condition of the thing because mm, at the end, I think what is very good is that you arrive there and you experience something which will be already very different than your room, but at least on the technical part, you know, at least on the, let's say, easy part, which is the one you can control whilst practicing the saxophone, at least on that, you have to be really strong. And for doing that, the more you do, the better it is for me. Then, of course, you don't have to exaggerate to arrive too burned out. To, of course, if you did 120 times the first round of a competition, then maybe it's a bit too much because then you cannot see the pieces anymore. You don't like them anymore, basically. But yeah, having a balance with that is important. And yeah, sometimes I feel with myself, I was too scared of doing that and because I was like, yeah, but maybe I don't have a good read. Yeah, it's no sense to do a filage of the program. Yeah, I don't have a good day today. I don't know my sound. Just I don't like. No, come on, let's not do the first round. No, I mean force yourself a bit. This is important for me. And then in the days before, in the actual days before, I try to relax as much as possible. So not to practice too much. I maybe do 3 4 hours maximum. During the day, throughout the day. I don't exaggerate with things because, anyways, in the last days, I feel like the last thing you want to do is actually to get a lot of pressure because you feel unprepared. You have to feel comfortable, you have to feel confident because you practiced before, and the last days have to be a build up which will lead to the thing to the moment. I think it's the same with a concert. I mean, how many times you practice? We all practice the day before the concert, and then the actual day of the concert. Yeah, you just do the same errors. You just screw it up the same way because yeah, you didn't have the time to build up this memory. So at the end, yeah, then of course, if you don't have the time, you are preparing something in a short period of time, do your best. But if you organize for a competition, then take the time to, yeah, to try at least to be, again, it's a question of professionalism, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, to be as much professional as possible. And sometimes it's boring actually doing this kind of work. At least for me, it can get boring, but yeah, you have to trust the process and to be there. And the most important thing, especially preparing for a competition, is not to attach it to the result of it. You
Hmm.
have to attach it just purely on the fact that you like the program and you will progress. That's it. That's the only thing. Because if you do it any other ways, of course, there is competitivity in every one of us. We want to win, we want to excel. But if you attach it just to that, I think it won't work.
Yeah.
In my experience, it hasn't worked. It has started to work better from the moment when I'm more detached and I actually practice for the sake of progress and to get better. And this is also a clean way, you know, it's a human way of approaching the things.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
you talked a little bit about like if you don't want to play a piece of music too much, like run it every day so you won't enjoy it anymore. Is
Yeah.
there a process like if you're playing a piece and you're like, "Oh my God, I don't like this anymore." Is there like a process where you listen to it or you stop listening to it, so you're like you start enjoying it again.
I mean, ideally, at the end, the music you want to defend in your life is, I feel, music that you studied some time ago, that you haven't internalized, and that then you take back and you actually can rediscover some things, because you remember, but you don't remember that good. And this is the best moment, this is the best part. But sadly, and this is where for me competitions they can get a bit tricky. Maybe you don't have the time because the program is out, I don't know, 6 months before, or I don't know, 4 months before. And then, yeah, you just have the time that you need to practice it. So at that point, what you can do is really genuinely just practice. If you really cannot see the piece anymore, then you take some days off from it. But again, there is not much that you can do. But for example, for me, when I try to, I don't know, to program then a concert, it's much easier, because you can take something from your repertoire and you can rediscover it. And of course, you are more mature, and usually the things that technically didn't work, they work better now.
Hmm.
And simply you can enjoy it so much more. So yeah, I mean, I think there is no secret. Then you take a pause. Simply, you take a break and you don't listen to it and don't play it for 3 days. It won't affect the way you play it. You won't forget about it in 3 days, but maybe it will again give you some motivation. But yeah, this is the tricky part, I would say, about the competition, because
Hmm.
then you feel like, yeah, I need to practice every day this in order to pass the round, in order to win. Yeah, it's an equilibrium at the end.
Hmm.
It's a sort of yeah, fluctuation between what is too much and what is not enough.
Hmm.
Not always easy, but me, I don't think I found the magic rule. I mean, I just try to do my best, and yeah,
Hmm. I was just thinking about um Andorra last year, so 2024, when you did Glazunov for that, right? That was the final
yeah,
round. Um,
yeah.
was the cadenza for that, was that something each person had to write their own cadenza?
I think you could choose, if I don't remember wrong, you could choose whether you write yourself or
Hmm.
you commission somebody to write it for you. So you can ask a friend composer. In that case, I prefer to write it myself,
Hmm.
also because my teacher was saying me, yes, it's a good opportunity. It's nice if you do that. So I tried my best. Of course, I'm really not a composer. I never
Yeah.
took composition classes. But I remember going to some écriture teachers in my conservatory, and they helped me. And at the end, of course, I wrote something which maybe works, but I mean, I wouldn't say it's really. It's not even far from the level that the composition of the Glazunov is, because it's also so difficult. I mean, it's maybe the greatest composer from that period that actually composed for the saxophone. I mean, other romantic composers that wrote for the saxophone are not on the level of Glazunov. So to touch this music and to write something is always hard. But that time I remember I tried, and yeah, that was the result. Yeah, of course, you can always discuss them. The piece in particular, the cadenza is at the middle, and also it's very short. I think on purpose. It's not because he didn't have ideas. It's very short because the first part just goes a bit with virtuosity, and then you are already in the second half of the concerto, which is the famous tan taran taran taran.
Hmm.
And yeah, I don't know whether then you put, for example, some cadenzas are really beautiful. The one of Loba, for example, for me it's fantastic, it's phenomenal, but it's like 4 minutes. And then maybe you do that in a performance, you actually, yeah, go a bit out of the way that the composer wanted it. And it's not because we have to be just playing like the composer wanted, but yeah, I don't know, then maybe you also lose a bit the equilibre in the piece, I would say.
Hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool that
But in
you
that case, I remember it. yeah, it was a bit long, maybe, now that I think of it, it was maybe a bit long, my cadenza. It was 2 minutes, 2.5. Maybe it's a bit too much. If I would do it now, maybe I would try to do it with the same ideas, but a bit smaller
Sure.
so that it stays short. I don't know.
Hmm. Well, I think it's really impressive that you wrote your own. So that was that your first time composing anything?
Yeah, I wouldn't even say that I composed something doing that cadenza. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, thinking about composing is really for me. It's a profession. It's something that I admire a lot. There are people who really do just that in their musical lives. But yeah, I think it was the first time that I actually wrote something and then I proposed it to a public. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, that's really cool. That's great.
Yeah.
Um, so, back on competitions a little bit. When you perform or compete, do you have a way to kind of calm your anxiety before you go on stage?
Yes, I would say that I'm I'm maybe not the person who has the most hard attack of performance anxiety. I would say that for me myself, it stays always to a level where okay, I feel the pressure, but I can most of the times I can always regulate myself in very
Hmm.
traditional ways, like I don't know, I breathe a bit longer, four, inhalation, exhalation, then you retain a bit up and you retain down. I think it's called the quadriangle. It's called. I don't know. Anyways, it's a way of breathing.
Hmm.
You inhale for 4 seconds, then
Yeah,
you
yeah,
stay up 4 seconds, then you exhale for sec.
yeah.
This kind of, I would say, simple things. Or I just have a drink of cold water. I mean, I would say that with easy things, for me myself, I personally almost always arrive to be. I wouldn't say that I'm calm because also I think you don't have to be calm to play. To play good, I think you need this kind of excitement,
Yeah.
this this fire inside. You need
Hmm.
it, of course. But yeah, it can be dangerous when it gets too much to a point that you cannot control yourself anymore, definitely.
Hmm.
So yeah, I try to feel when it's getting up there and try to keep it there, that it doesn't go even even farther. Because yeah, in that case, I think it can actually make you play worse than what you can. But the contrary is also true. So when you actually don't care about something, about a performance, for example, it's very common that you play also below your standard. And this
Uh-huh.
happened to me too. So when you are too relaxed, I think it's also not good. You have to care enough that there is some fire, and yeah, you don't have to let it burn the entire building.
Yeah. Are you really careful with your diet and exercise coming up to a performance too? Like, are you really t intentional about like, oh, I'm gonna run the day of or before or, anything like that?
Having some sports, I would say yes. Trying to rest always at a certain time, yes. To sleep, for example, I try really not to sleep late. Already the week before, the weeks before, even better. Of course, many times you cannot because maybe you have to travel and you have to do some things before a
Hmm.
concert or a competition. But yeah, I try to be as regulated as possible. I think that yeah, even if even if you are great, then if you didn't sleep good and you slept just 2 hours and the night before you drank a lot of alcohol, then yeah, maybe it will affect your playing.
Yeah.
I don't believe in this thing that yeah, you are so strong so you can do whatever you want. No, I think that you have to be careful, and me with
Yeah.
myself, I try to be careful. But with the dieting, I would say no, I'm not that much careful. It doesn't mean that I eat what I mean, whatever is at my disposal. I mean, I try to eat with a sort of good sense, common sense.
Hmm.
Not. not forcing, of course, I don't know, with burgers and fries or pizza every day. Of course, I don't do this kind of excesses, but yeah, I don't also exaggerate with measuring my calories or something like that, because yeah, maybe it's a way to be even more proficient. I don't know. I should try. But yeah, for me, already sleeping good and trying not to have this kind of nights where you go to bed very late, or yeah, drinking alcohol also. I think for me personally, it affects my way of concentrating. So the week leading to a concert, I don't drink. Already, I'm not a great drinker, but the week leading, I really drink zero alcohol.
Hmm.
So that's for me something. Of course, there are people who can drink a beer and it's no problem. But for me personally, I think it affects my concentration. So I try not to do it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, okay, so for me, something that makes your playing really unique, and again, my impression of you is from online, YouTube, like watching a lot of Andorra, pretty much. So my perspective is that you have a lot of charisma when you play and a lot of personality, and I feel like you really assume the character of the piece really well. And I think that's
Thank you.
something that makes you a little different from the other players that I see because everyone plays technically really well. But I think something that sets you apart is that like you're really humble, you seem really nice, you seem like you enjoy the performance. So when you're on stage, do you feel like you're always enjoying it the whole time?
But thank you already for the compliment, because it makes me happy. Uh, Listen, pretty much yes. Yeah, I'm not trying to fake it, to be honest,
Yeah.
because I mean, if you then have to fake a smile, well, I mean, yeah, there's something up. I genuinely like to play a lot.
Hmm.
Really, I like it a lot. And actually, from the moment when I start, I I know that I also prepared. I spent some time preparing the piece, or I don't know, preparing, rehearsing the piece with piano, with orchestra. I know that the job is somehow done to a certain level that will make me excel, or that will make me have some problems. I don't know, but the work is done. So from the moment I'm on stage, what I really think about is, yeah, to actually take some profit out of all the work, because it's
Hmm.
the actual moment where you have to enjoy it and to take some profit. So yeah, I would say that I enjoy it. Of course, I enjoy it a little bit less when things do not work out. I don't know, there is a problem with the ensemble, or I don't know, you are with the conductor and you are not together. Of course, then but it's not even that you enjoy it less. It's just that in that moment you try and solve it, and actually those are also crucial moments, because I mean, I feel that you really feel alive in those moments.
Hmm.
You really measure the way of responding to a problem and to a little thing that happens, and this thing of responding quickly and being active in that moment, being able to find a solution. I mean, that's pretty much life also. You know,
Hmm.
there is a thing which happens and you find a solution. So then, I mean, you can again be happy about the fact that you are playing. And yeah, I'm pretty much really happy about playing, because I love it,
Hmm.
really.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
really nice to hear. So going back to Glazunov, on this question a little bit more, I think Glazunov is a piece with a lot of different characters for each section, and I think that's a really great piece to show off, like how you embody what's happening. So, how do you think about setting up a character for different sections of a piece or different movements of a piece? Like, is there an image you think of? Is there an emotion you think of, or a word that you write to be like, this is why this section or phrase or movement is different?
Yeah. Of course, this is very important, especially when you play romantic music.
Yeah.
it's really important to characterize the things, to really put them in the right place, and the right place is right for you. So this is another, for me, crucial thing. Um, I try to, in a certain way, interiorize the piece to an extent that I can that I can live my life, live my emotions through that piece, you know. And for me, that is the way that allows a player to actually be true, you know. Because then, of course, you may think at the beginning of the context. For example, if we're talking about Glazunov, uh, in which part of his life did he write it? It was at the end of his life, so you assume that he was already mature. He was not writing music since 30 plus years. He was in Paris, not in Russia. So there
Hmm.
are a lot of things, you know, that can make you think, and then that actually inspires you. But then I feel that to be really expressive in a moment, you have to find something that resonates within yourself. And for example, a piece that I love playing is Glazunov, but another piece that I really love playing it. For example, just to talk about something else is the Albright Sonata. You know, I feel
Hmm.
that there you have really a lot of characters that,
Yeah.
and there are for sure five which are really different. And of course, I'm not saying that you have to think about the loss of a friend to play All Bright Good, but in a certain way, if you cannot connect to this kind of emotions inside yourself, I feel it that yeah, I feel that it's hard then to be real, you know, because then the people who listen to you, they can feel, they can sense if it's real, and this has nothing to do with the fact that you are perfectly in tune or that you have the most beautiful sound. It really, for me, it doesn't count anymore at that point. If you arrive to the point where you are saying something truly, and because it's something within yourself, it's yourself that you are exposing, then it's yeah, it's not anymore possible to say, yeah, but the sound I don't like. No, I think that the message will pass anyway. So yeah, about the characters, the different characters, what I can say is that every part of a piece, of course, has some indications of the composer that you have really to be, attentive with.
Hmm.
So you already do everything what is written, and then within that you try to put yourself inside and try to understand. Okay, this first phrase is something that I see as, for example, the first phrase of Glazunov. I see it as someone looking back to the years of his life. He is at the end
Hmm.
of his life. He looks back to his life. Okay, and it's this. So you kind of imagine somebody who is calmly looking, who is yeah, saying, "Wow, it was quite right." So I imagine it as something which is uh, magnificent, and but it's not demonstrative anymore, because you can say also it's an old man, so it doesn't have to show off anything. It's at the end of his life.
Hmm.
And so these kind of things, and then maybe the slow part, mi re do sol la si do si, and that one for me it's love. But I don't know, maybe just because I'm Italian, but I try, to find some things which are, yeah, suitable for. And of course, I think you can be wrong if you try to be romantic in a, I don't know, in a moment which just requires anger. Of course, it's wrong. So in that moment, yeah, either you change your emotion, either you change your peace. I would
Hmm.
say,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, trying to embrace all the different emotions that are already within the piece. And yeah, I'm sorry, I understand also I'm not super specific about some things, because what I like is also to leave them every time a bit differently.
Hmm.
I wouldn't like, for example, to write love before my mi re do sol la si, because this would be this would be already something fake to me. I don't know. Of course, yeah, it's love, but yeah, I have to try to be there at that moment, you know. And if you, I feel that of course in the working it can help to write a lot of things, but yeah, in the characters and the way of playing every note, I think if you exaggerate with the notating things, then you also decide a bit too much maybe,
Hmm.
and yeah, you can leave yourself a bit of space, of course having an idea, but yeah, not trying to overwrite, I would say,
Okay.
at
Yeah.
least for me.
Great. Um, okay, so more about Andorra this year. I love talking about Andorra this year because I think this was such a great year for Andorra. It was my first time watching it live. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos of, like previous years before, but it was such a cool experience for me because it was the first time I was watching it as it happened, which was so cool. And I think it's such a special event to have so many people come together, so many great players. Um,
Yeah, it's actually, yeah.
yeah, so that's why I'm talking about it a lot. So did you have a favorite specific experience at the Andorra competition this year? Like maybe you listened to like in the faculty recital or the judges recital or one of your friends that you heard play that you really enjoyed, or just an overall experience that was really positive at Andorra?
Yeah. The overall experience already, it was, thank you for asking this. It was really good. I mean, you enjoy it, you are there, it's a beautiful place, a lot of saxophonists. I mean, it's actually fantastic, and then, yeah, you play in front of judges, but not only judges, you play in front of colleagues. You play if you get to the final, you have the chance to play with orchestra. So, I mean, overall, the experience is just wonderful. Then, what can I say? Yeah, there are some moments which marked me. For example, I remember the quartet recital of Kebiart. I mean, this was for me a great concert. I listened to their music, to their choices. This marked me. Of course, then I mean, as a participant, as a contestant, you don't actually have so much time to enjoy the experience, You then recollect it after, because especially if you go through, then you have to be concentrated, because
Yes.
the next day you play again. So of course there were some moments and that I enjoyed a lot, and I have also the chance that now I know um, a lot of people there, and
Mhm.
especially the organization with the FM and all the people. So it's really a pleasure to be there, to have been there. But yeah, I would say when you compete, then you are focused. So you maybe don't enjoy as much. For example, I didn't
Sure.
listen to all the concerts. I for sure don't listen to the other participants. This is a choice that I make.
Hmm.
I don't listen to them. If they are playing before me, I don't listen to them. And for
Yeah,
example,
yeah.
this year I happened to be one of the latest,
Yeah, yeah.
latest, one of the latest, and so yeah, I basically didn't listen to a lot of them. But this is not a thing, because I want to be alone. No, it's just that if you listen in the days where you have
Yeah.
to play the same repertoire, I think it can really influence you in a negative way
Yes.
most of the times. Because you will always look out for the things which are very good, and maybe then, yeah, so I try not to do that, but for this reason, I also miss out to some great performances. But yeah, it's a choice. Then I watch them live again. But it's a choice. I feel for sure in that week there is one thing that I can say is that there is so much going on that if you want to be there for everything, then you shouldn't take part as an active participant. You should go there and you should listen to it. But
Hmm.
if you decide to do then the competition, uh, yeah, you have to find a balance. So sometimes you cannot listen, you cannot go. Overall, the experience is great, but I think you can live it from different perspectives, for sure.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you were saying that it's maybe a little hard to enjoy and live in the moment while you're competing. But did you have anyone new that you that you met or that you were really looking forward to meeting that you haven't gone to see before, or someone that you did know that you were really excited to reconnect with?
Yes, I would say already the organizations. I mean, the people in the organization are really a family because they are really great people. So I'm always looking forward all the possibilities I have to reconnect with a friend and this. Of course, all the judges. I mean, because they are really the most outstanding that we can say saxophonists of our time
Mm-hmm.
that are most of the time chosen. So it's very respectable as a jury, and as a student, as a participant, you have really the chance to go there and to meet all of them at once. So I mean, it's quite a thing, especially when you go on the stage the first time. You're like, oh, okay, you are all there. Nice to see you. So yeah, I was really looking forward to that for sure. And then yeah, also the contestants because at the end, okay, you are maybe in this particular occasion you are competing one against the other, but it's true that all of them and especially now I just look at them and they are my friends,
Mm-hmm.
because I know them or because we have already encountered before. So it's just nice to see them again.
Mm-hmm.
It's another way to see them again, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Great. Um, Okay, so a little more focus now, not on competition stuff anymore. This is a personal question for me because I was playing on synthetic or plastic reeds for a long time actually, and I sw just switched back to cane. So mostly for me, I'd like to
Okay.
hear how do you take care of reeds and how do you store reeds normally?
Yeah. I mean, I have to be honest. I feel that I'm not at a point where I'm always satisfied with what the result is of my reads. And not
Uh-huh.
because of the reads, but because of my way of working them. So I think on that point, there's still a point that I'm working on, definitely, to be able to work them better, to prepare them better. This, yes. I usually play very quite old reads. I'm not always comfortable in playing new ones, and this is, I think, because I don't work them very, very good. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, what I try to do at least is to, well, rotate them
Mm-hmm.
quite often to have a new box and then rotate them. Of course, I won't play 1 hour on the good one because if not, you just break it. You just break the fibers. This is basic, but also for the logic of it, when it's new, you can see already the color is very yellow at the beginning,
Yep.
and it gets wet really in the deep inside very fast too. And this is because basically they explained to me that the tubes inside they didn't close up. So yeah, of course, with some time you play them for 1 week or 2 weeks, then they are mature and they get ready. So they won't change that much. And then for keeping them, I actually like to keep them quite naturally. Or if I really have to travel, I put them, in the thing. I have the Dario one with the humidification, but
Yeah.
you can have a Selmer one, you can have a Van Doren one. There are many of them, and I just try to store them with the humidity a bit checked, because if not, it's true that especially when you take the plane, there is
Mm-hmm.
there is really no humidity, so you could actually go out of the plane and you look at your reed and it's smiling. So yeah, I mean, this kind of experiences. Of course, then it doesn't happen anything. You put it back on in water. I mean, it's no problem. I I would say I'm not a big geek of reeds and materials.
Mm-hmm.
I I try always blame myself first, but it's true that it can help when you have something which is well stored, which is not too old, which is not too old. This is very important,
Mm-hmm.
and that you played good also, because when you play it good and you don't put a lot of fatigue in the altissimo or slaps and all these things, I think it stays more true to her sound. Whereas if you start to play a lot of altissimo, slaps, multiphonics, and a lot of other things which really stress the read out, I feel that, yeah, at a certain point, then it won't work anymore like it was. So yeah.
Mm, yeah. Um,
So yeah, basically the good ones you try to store them maybe.
mhm.
That's what I like to do. Yeah. The good ones you store them. Definitely.
Do you do you normally keep them in the original? I'm assuming you're on Van Doren, right?
Yes. Yes, I
Um,
do.
do you ever store them in the original package that it comes in, or do you always put it in like whatever D'Addario case you're using or whatever?
Mm, no, the original one I think is quite good because at the
Mm,
end the plastic is flat, so it keeps it quite flat. Of course, it's not super flat, but I mean the effect of flat, not perfectly flat, is you can solve it quite easily putting back it in the water. The yeah, I mean the bad problem is that when the table is not anymore right, especially at the bottom of the reed, and yeah, when it's not anymore fitting with the mouthpiece, of course, then it can be tricky to make a sound, to make a good sound, because then the air will leak out. So yeah, but this, for example, I try to check it before, and if I see that already the air is leaking out and it's flowing where it shouldn't flow, well, then maybe it's just the time that this reed goes to yeah,
mhm.
yeah,
Yep,
that it's not played anymore.
for sure. Do you use any tools to adjust reeds ever? Like, do you shave any of the reeds at all, or do you just leave it as it comes?
I think I'm not able. I tried some things, but I think I'm not able. I'm not good enough to do that. So I don't do that. I
Yeah.
don't like to do that. And also, uh, basically, the shape of the reed, it's not the shape which gives it the. I mean, no. Let's formulate it good. The shape, for example, the traditional Van Doren or traditional Latario, it comes out. It's always the same, no matter the force, the strength of the reed.
Hmm.
So I feel that if it was made with this kind of precision, okay, yeah, maybe you can do something, but doing major work on it, yeah, I see it as a bit difficult than to be good. I don't know. But there are people for sure who are working on them, but I don't know. Actually, in my circle, I don't know a lot of them who are doing with the profitable outcomes, I would say. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit skeptical because at the end, the precision of a machine, I mean, it's hard to be as precise with your hand.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And then also you have to know exactly where, why. I mean, I don't know. If it's really not good, maybe it will never be really good. And if it's good, I mean, why to try and complexify the thing by doing a bit of that and a bit of that? If it's
Hmm.
good, it's good. If it's not good, it's not good. I try to keep it simple, because then at the end, yeah, I don't know. I could maybe use two reads more per month. But
Sure.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's comforting to hear. I think in America it's a little bit more common for people to adjust reeds and sandpaper, I don't know if you know the Reed Geek. Do you know the Reed Geek?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
heard
I,
of it. I heard of it.
I think
Yeah.
that's pretty common here, but I don't even know where to start, like, to
Yeah,
learn to work on those. So it's comforting
I
to
think
hear
I think
that.
there is an interesting work. I don't remember if I read it on the book of Joe Allard, but it was most probably on the book of Larry Teal.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Hmm.
there I read a part where it was like this part of the read does this and this does that. I mean, of course, we
Yeah.
can all learn, we can all try, but yeah, for me, it has never been a major way of keeping the things in place. I don't know. I feel that when you have a good mouthpiece, which is quite new, not too old, and the table is flat, a reed which comes out of a machine with um, I don't know, a millisimo of a millimeter precision. I mean, how can you compare to that with some sandpaper? I
Yeah.
don't know. Then, of course, if the reed is 2 years old, maybe you have to send it because it's not flat anymore. But if not, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm I think it's not worth it, at least
Mm.
for me.
How often do you get a new mouthpiece?
Um, I mean, I'm trying to get. It's not about I have to get a new one because it's 2 years. No, it's not like that. But I feel that already when you can sense that, yeah, the reeds are becoming weirder, and the sound is getting with the new mouthpieces. I feel that the sound gets always a bit more easy,
Hmm.
basically in the production, so you can blow easier. Uh, but it also gets a bit more brilliant, too brilliant, and also brilliant in a way which is not homogeneous, I would say. So a
Hmm.
sound, I like a brilliant sound. It has to be brilliant, but it has to be brilliant in a very homogeneous way, in the sense that there are still partials in the fundamental spectrum, and then there is brilliancy. But if there is just a lot of brilliancy, I feel that the mouthpiece is starting to get maybe a bit too easy to blow, and maybe you cleaned it too many times.
Hmm.
I think it's quite common that after 1.5 years, 2 years, you can imagine that, especially with modern ones, they change.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. Yeah. I haven't really heard much from people how often they replace mouthpieces. So that's good to know. And it's so convenient that you have Selmer, Paris, like right where you are. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I have to say it's really great. Yeah, it's really
yeah,
great
it's
because
not fair. In
because it
America, we don't have a
I
Selmer
understand. Yeah,
distributor, so we don't have a way to like you can't
yeah,
really try out like I play on the DeLong mouthpiece.
yes,
I couldn't try it out beforehand. I just had to order it online and hope, like
yeah, yeah. It's not the same. It's not the same actually, because then it's not even about the fact that one mouthpiece is good and one other the same mouthpiece is not good. It's just that the fact that they have little change. Then you can have a preference already. The change is really little, especially nowadays. I feel that it's not as wide as before, but you still can have a preference. So yeah, to try out is maybe the best thing that, uh, of course, depending on the possibilities, geographically and also economically. I don't know if you have to travel to Paris to find a mouthpiece. It's maybe too much if you if you go from America. If it's one metro line, then it's okay.
yeah,
So yeah, it's also easier, of course.
yeah.
I know it, and yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. So I want to talk a little bit more about equipment. So I know you were on like last year you were still on a Series 2, right? And recently you upgraded to a Supreme.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
right.
how recent was that? How long ago did you get a Supreme?
I had it less than a year ago. I had it on December 18th, 2024.
Hmm. Well, I'm very happy for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm very Yeah, I'm very happy about it also because it was the first instrument that I choose it myself, because my Series 2, it was my professor who had chosen it at the time. So this time I really choose, of course, with the advice of Nicola and the people in Selmer who actually can adjust the saxophone there. But yeah, it's a very good instrument. I mean,
Mhm.
I cannot imagine of finding anything much better right
Yeah.
now. So I'm quite happy with it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I'm playing on a Series 2 pre-Jubilee, so my Series
Yeah.
2 is from like the 90s. So
Okay.
it's already on the older side, and I really want to upgrade to a Supreme, but it's going to take me quite a while to save up for something like that. Um,
Yeah,
but
it's
I
a bit
wanted to,
expensive. Yeah. It's a
huh?
bit expensive.
Yeah.
It's a bit more expensive, I would say, that than the saxophones used to be. I would
Hmm.
say there was a bit of a jump, of course, but at the end, It's just that, you cannot really put a price on the best thing.
Hmm.
If you really believe it's the best, and as an artist, it will give you that small point more. For me too, I mean, it was a lot of money, but yeah, then you try to accumulate it and to spend it because yeah, at the end, yeah, how can you put a price on the 1% more?
Yeah.
It's not possible. It's like somebody saying, "Well, I want the best car." Well, okay, if maybe you cannot buy a Ferrari, but if you want the best car, maybe you can aspire to it,
Hmm.
and or maybe even better, a Bugatti. I don't know if it exists this comparison on saxophones, but yeah, yeah, it's true that they are getting more expensive nowadays. I don't know
Hmm.
why. I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe it's the production costs that are bigger. I don't know.
Yeah. What was the transition like when you switched from a Series 2 to the Supreme? Because I think they feel and sound pretty different because I the Series 2 it feels denser, like heavier, and I feel like the sound is just like very resonant. And I tried out a Supreme before. I don't think it was one of the good ones though. I don't think it was as good as like a horn that you would have. But it felt like it was really pushing back on my sound. Like it was like less resonant, less whole and big. Um, and I think a big
Yeah,
thing that's a draw to the Supreme is the intonation is just like it was especially compared to a Series 2 is a lot better. So what was it like sound wise transitioning to a Supreme? And then did intonation immediately become a lot easier, or was it really the same for you? What was that like?
yeah. Uh, I would say there are some aspects which are, of course, connected between them. I would say the first one is the fact that intonation goes together with the homogeneity of the instrument,
Hmm.
because I know the feeling of the Series 2 very, very well,
Yeah.
and it's true that there are some notes that you are just like, wow, that's fantastic, there is some profound vibration to it. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. But then, is it homogeneous? Can you have this sensation in every note of the horn? For example, a do, a medium C. I
Hmm.
mean, it doesn't exactly give you that sensation of fullness and resonance in the
Hmm.
sound. And maybe what they have tried to do, and I think they have achieved with this instrument. Again, just from a perspective of a player, I'm not a Selmer artist, so it's just in my DNA, of course, this sound because I've always played Selmer, but it's not because they pay me that I say this. But what they've achieved is that the intonation is really much better, and also it's more homogeneous. So there are not notes which will stand out because they are fuller and super big, and notes which are super little and maybe a bit low, and maybe, I don't know, not really interesting in terms of sound. So in this way, I feel the again, I don't think that the perfect thing exists. It's
Hmm.
a balance. So the balance for me is better with the Supreme. But of course, you can argue that the sound of the Series 2, you love it more. And but with this, yeah, for me, it was not a big problem because I said to myself, okay, I have to build a new sound. But I understand also people who may think, for me, it's a big thing. I studied always with this kind of sound in the years. I don't want to change, so I prefer maybe to work a bit more in intonation, to work a bit more to make it homogeneous, and maybe not do the big change to a Supreme. Both are understandable, but for me, what was important is like to say, okay, I'm playing today, so no matter what, I had to play an instrument of today. I don't know. I feel that playing an instrument from the 80s. I mean, I'm not living in the 80s, so I assume that something has changed. So yeah, I also like to go in the direction where um, maybe more experienced people than me, like the people who developed the instrument, they are deciding to go.
Hmm.
But for me, yeah, then it's more in tune, but there is also problems. It's not perfectly in tune, I mean, either. There is also some notes which are too high. Of course, you have. I think that what was good about my personal experience is that with the Series 2, I really have had to do a lot in terms of corrections, fingerings. I mean,
Yes.
really, you have to experiment a lot. So all that flexibility, it helped me then with a more in tune, I would say, more manageable horn, but still with some problems, which are natural to a saxophone at the end, I would say. I mean, and then even what does it mean to be perfectly in tune? I mean, doesn't mean anything. You cannot build an instrument which is perfectly in tune and just plays with a temperate tuning. It's not possible because then in a quartet already you wouldn't be in tune. If you had to play the major third, well, if it's green, if it's not in tune. So I mean, this kind of flexibility is a flexibility yeah, luckily we have in the horn, because if we didn't have this, then it would be impossible to play actually.
Hmm.
So yeah, but I would say the bass is very much more stable
Hmm.
in my experience. Then I know that there are people having Series 2 which are very good in tune and they can play it good. I mean, everybody has a different experience, but for me, it's true that it helped.
Hmm.
Then I
Yeah.
don't know in terms of sound. I know it's different. Maybe from your perspective, you can like it more before or more after. But from my perspective, I like to think that it's just different. But at the end, it's always myself in a certain way.
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear
You know.
both. So you and Wataru, you were both on Series 2s for a while, and you both kind of recently switched to a Supreme, and I can hear a difference from both of you guys pre-Supreme and post-Supreme
Sure.
because the Series 2, you can hear how
For sure.
hard it is for some of the notes to work really hard fingering wise or voicing wise to get that stuff really in tune. And then listening to both of you now, it
Yeah.
just seems effortless, really, which is really great. Like how good that
Yeah.
your intonation was during like especially the Rhizome, the David piece, like really impressive in the intonation for both of you. It's incredible.
And I have to say that, for example, for a piece like that, of course, you can work a lot, but with all the jumps there are, if the instrument is not in tune, frankly, I don't see it possible to play it in tune.
Yes.
So, it's not that there is a thousand possibilities. You cannot jump octaves and change. It's just not possible at that speed.
Hmm.
Then, of course, there are some colors, for example, I don't know, from an old instrument that you can get that maybe you cannot get from a Supreme, but I mean, there are also some things that you can get from a Supreme and you cannot get from an old instrument. So at the end, it's always a balance. For me, anyways, I think it was a good choice
Hmm.
to actually change.
Yeah, definitely. Um, okay, so last question about equipment. I wanted to talk about the JLV a little bit because I also play on it. It was really interesting to see the different placement from a lot of different players. So I noticed that you put it quite low, like kind of like here. But then some other
Yeah.
players put it quite high, like almost up here, or something like that. Is that
Yeah.
something, do you adjust the level based off of the reed that you have, or do you just like having it comfortable on that lower position?
To be completely honest, I don't really think about all that.
Yeah.
Really, it's not something that I like to think, because I think it overcomplicates, and at the end, the changement is quite little.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, I know that when you put it up, you put the ligature up, and it becomes a bit easier to play. You put it down, it becomes a bit harder, but really we are talking about differences. I feel that also if you have it too close to the mouth, then you risk to touch it whilst you are playing, and this sensation I don't actually like it.
Yeah.
So I just put it a bit farther. I don't know. I honestly don't think that this can matter really that much. And it's not to
Yeah.
say that you don't have to experiment with it. everybody should experiment with the equipment. For example, there are things that I do. For example, the screw on the Supreme, I put it a bit on the right side, you know. But I mean, yeah, okay, let's experiment, but let's also not put too much effort in trying to find. For me, at least, it never really worked. I already went through a phase, especially when I was 16 to 20, I would say. I was really looking and changing reeds every second day, and I mean, it was, and then I understood that, yeah, it actually requires more efforts from your side, and yeah, of course, the equipment helps, but 1 millimeter more, I think it won't change a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
great.
yeah, for me, it's more the thing that you don't touch it. If you touch it, it's not very good as a sensation. I don't know. Did you try?
Yeah, I tended to have I've been putting it a little bit lower recently, like in the last couple of weeks, but before it was on a higher level and I was touching it pretty regularly, like like you said. I normally
You
feel
have
it.
to like it, It's a sensation.
And it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter to me, but yeah.
Of course, you see, for you, but for me, for example, when I was doing slaps, then I would touch it more because I advance a bit my jaw. And
Mhm.
so, there are these little things that yeah, either you like, either you say, well, it doesn't change that much, why I have to do it, you know?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Um, okay, what are some of the most challenging pieces that you have played?
I would say for sure one of the most challenging pieces it it's already you can have so many answers to this question
Hmm.
because for example playing a good Glazunov, I mean I think it's one of the most difficult things you can actually try to do.
Hmm.
I don't know, recently for example I was thinking about the fact that nobody since already a bit of time has ever did a CD recording, you know, of Glazunov. It's not
Hmm.
so common, that they do recordings with orchestra of Glazunov. Why? Because it's really hard.
Hmm.
But if we are talking more of like purely the technical wise, I would say that maybe the transcription of Tracce of Luca Francesconi, it's a very hard one.
Hmm.
I mean, it's really challenging because you are playing a lot of notes. You are playing in a lot of different registers. Especially, I tried to do it with the soprano, and of course, I mean there are simple things. This piece is original for flute. There are things which you can practice as much as you want, but yeah, it won't work as good. So I think that one is quite challenging, and yeah, of course, also all the transcriptions in general, I feel that they are really challenging in the sense that I don't know, there is also this kind of frustration then when it doesn't work, that the way you can mess it is actually so much bigger than the way the original instrument can mess it, If a violin, it's not perfectly in tune, or I don't know, there is a little crack in the sound, it's really much less noticeable than a saxophone cracking a note,
Hmm.
So it's just the conformation of the instrument. I think in general, every transcription which is demanding, it can be really challenging. For
Hmm.
sure, it gets challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The European like university or college system, I think it's very different from American day-to-day life. Like I've heard that maybe in European conservatories you don't have as many classes or ensembles you play in, and it focuses a lot more on lessons and solo playing. For Americans, I just wanted to hear kind of what day-to-day life is like in a European conservatory. Like, what classes do you take? What sort of activities do you do? How long are things?
Yes. Yeah, for sure it must be different. I think that yeah, it's true what you heard. We don't have as many things maybe. We have actually time to practice on our own, to
Hmm.
to rehearse, to really I don't know have a good practice session of 2.5 hours where you just practice in the morning, then in the afternoon, maybe sometimes in the night if you are somebody who is preparing something or you want to practice more. So I would say that normally you have one lesson, one instrument lesson per week. Then every second week we have here, but I think it's quite common also in other university, in other top university. It's quite common that you have a lesson with the assistant professor. So you have, I would say, 1.5 lesson per week on your instrument, and these lessons they are usually 1 hour, 1 hour 55 minutes, depending on how much music did you prepare. Then you rehearse with piano. That's very that's very important actually. I don't know whether you do it every week, but we do it every week.
Hmm.
So you have a lesson and you rehearse with piano. This is quite important in the pedagogy in Europe. I think it counts a lot. Then we have chamber music lessons, of course, and depending on being in the bachelor of or master, you can have more, I don't know, history of music lesson or how to write your dissertation for the final work. It depends really. There is not one way you can do it, but I would say that yeah, you still manage to have time, quality time every day to practice without practicing at midnight. Yeah,
Yeah, good.
yeah.
Who's the assistant saxophone professor at Paris?
Actually, in this moment, there are two assistants. It's one is Christophe Bois, and the other one is Jonathan Rautiola.
Oh, wait, who's the first one?
Christophe Bois.
Okay. Do you have in all of the history of your performances or competitions or whatever, do you have a favorite experience or performance that you've done where it really stuck out as like, oh, I played really well or I enjoyed that one the most?
I thought about that. I honestly have to say you that I cannot really remember one that because yeah I don't know as much as I can I really enjoy every one of them. And yeah, so for that reason, I don't think that I enjoy more when I play for more people, or I enjoy more when I play actually better. I don't know that I'm better in tune. I don't know. No, I think generally that to this day I really enjoyed pretty much all my performances that I can collect in my thoughts.
Hmm.
For example, yesterday we played
Yeah.
a quartet concert, and I enjoyed it just as much as the concert of 2 weeks ago. So yeah, of course, then it's very prestigious when you play to big audiences or with an orchestra behind you. I mean, it's great, and you feel a lot of reward. But I would say it's not a thing that you enjoy it more whilst playing. You are just really, really deeply. Uh, thankful for the opportunity you had. So it's more after sensation, I would say.
Yeah.
But in the moment, I think you enjoy it. At least for me, I enjoy it just as much as
Hmm.
playing with, I don't know, in a small room with piano
Hmm.
and with 50 people.
Yeah. I remembered something for a second ago that I forgot. Do you teach at all right now? Do you have private students?
Not private students. I actually teach in a conservatory in
Hmm.
Italy.
Yep.
It's in Cremona. It's very near Milano. So I travel right now every second week
Wow.
to do some classes there. Yeah, so that's also why, for me, the thing of, I don't know, traveling with a plane, I mean, I don't see it as as that crazy. Of course,
Hmm.
yeah, I would like not to do that all my life, but yeah.
Wow, cool. Um,
Yeah,
oh, so I wanted to hear about so on quartet you're playing baritone, right?
yeah, that's right.
What is the do have you played tenor at all lately or not really?
Tenor, I would say, is maybe the one of the four that I know a bit less because I
Mm,
didn't have many opportunities. It's an objective for this year, actually, to
cool.
to give a bit more time for tenor repertoire.
Hmm. Do you
But
find it
yeah,
difficult? Oh, sorry.
right now I would say soprano, alto, and baritone.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you find it difficult to practice all three instruments and to sound good on all of them, or is there a routine that you do to make sure you sound equally good on soprano, alto, and bari?
Mm. Well, already I don't think that honestly, I don't think that I sound equally good on the three of them. There is always, depending on the moment you find yourself in, there is always the one you have been practicing a bit more
Yeah.
lately. I mean, I don't think that the dream that is possible to, to sell a dream of, yes, you practice 1 hour of this, 1 hour of this, 1 hour of that. Yes, of course, you can always try to put a bit of time of your day to the bari, to the alto, to the soprano, but depending on what you're doing, what you're preparing, if the program is entirely on alto, you will for sure spend more time on alto. So, yeah, of course, we try our best to be, again, professional, but uh, yeah, there are just some moments where you haven't been practicing soprano in the last week, and of course it won't sound as good. But then if you have another concert, you practice for it, and of course maybe try not to forget about an instrument if you are not playing, let's say for a competition soprano. Maybe let's try not to completely forget about it, and for 6 months maybe you don't play it. Maybe this is a bit definitely too much, I would say. So trying to play them a bit every week, I would say, even if you're not preparing a major thing on it, for me it's a key. Because if not, it's true that you can lose the sensation.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely feel the playing one more than the other. I recently just got a soprano. It's my first soprano ever, and I'm playing more soprano now than ever before. It's so nice. It's a Series 3, like 2012. It's a beautiful instrument. So I'm playing so much soprano, but not as much alto anymore, really. And I'm really enjoying soprano a lot because like I can play like violin transcriptions, flute transcript, all of this music. Um, and I'm feeling like my
Yeah,
alto sound isn't as good now because I'm focusing so much on getting good at soprano.
of course, but I mean, it's always easy then to say you yeah, then try to play a bit of alto, but I mean it depends on the moment. Of
Yeah.
course, maybe we don't have to be uh, at some moments being professional for me means being not too passionate about things, so doing the things also because it's our job and we have to do them.
Yeah.
So it's not always because of out of a lot of pleasure. If I know that I have a concert on Barry, even if it's very heavy and it will maybe hurt my back a bit,
Yeah.
well, I try at least to choose a reed, to practice a bit, to understand how the intonation works on the instrument again. So, yeah.
Mhm.
um, but of course, thinking of being proficient on all four, I would say, at the same time, at any given time, uh, I think it's quite hard. Then there are for sure people who arrive better than others. And of course, as professionals, we have to be able to be always as much in shape with every four of them, and even six. Why not sopranino
Mhm.
and bass? But I mean, in the reality, I feel that when you have a big project on one instrument, of course you have to make time for it, and you take it from the others. I think.
Mhm. Great. Okay, we have two more questions. Almost finished. Um, okay,
With pleasure.
so more about you. What do you do for fun outside of music?
Well, listen, I like to do a lot of things, really. It's just that sometimes I don't have the time to do them. But when the
Yep.
time is free, I actually like really a lot to run and to have some sports. Really, this thing is, I mean, it's one of the only moments when you can actually, yeah, put your brain into pause and you just concentrate in some simple acts. And yeah, it's really a master of life. I feel sport in general. Then it's not that I'm a big sportsman, I do sports every day. No. But when I have the chance to do it, for example, today I had the chance to do it a bit. I went to run. And yeah, this is for me really relieving every tension that may be accumulating. And if not, I like quite a lot cinema. So yeah,
Yeah.
I like movies, and
Can I hear about your
I
some
like
of your
to,
favorite movies? Or maybe favorite
yes,
movie directors?
yeah. I don't know about the directors. I'm not very good with names, but for example, I mean, of the latest movies I've watched, one that touched me is La La Land, and I know
Uh-huh.
it's a very at the end it's a very simple romantic
Yeah.
comedy, but the fact that there is music behind, the fact that they sing and the music is great,
Hmm.
I mean, I love it. So yeah, I would say of the latest one that I saw, this one, if not another one that I saw lately, it was quite touching. It was The Green Book.
I
That
don't know
one is
that
a
one.
great movie.
Okay.
The Green Book is a movie about basically historically informed. This pianist was, a black pianist traveling through all the south of
Oh, I
North
think I know that
America.
one. Yeah.
And that movie is wow, it's touching, and frankly, these are the kind of movies that I enjoy. I
Yeah.
mean, when there is an happy ending, I have to say this is important to me because I don't know already there are some sad things in real life. When a movie has already a bit of hope, I like it.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
if
great
not,
to hear. I'm a very big fan of movies too. I watch a lot of movies, so
uh,
that's cool. Have you seen Whiplash before? You know this movie?
yes, yes, of
Yeah.
course,
Maybe not quite
of
a
course.
happy ending.
Mm, I don't know. It depends how you watch it because in a certain way. No, in a certain way, he became the best professional he could, but in
Yeah.
the other end, he lost completely his mind. I would say his balance in life. He lost also the girl. I think he was with, no?
What was
I
that?
remember good. He was together with a girl. He had a girlfriend, and then he didn't have it her, at the end of the movie, no? So yeah, you see basically the disruption of his life. Yeah. Yeah, but sometimes I think there are these kind of moments in musical lives. I don't know. I feel that I had some moments which were not always easy, not always at the top, and
Mhm.
I think it's quite normal because at the end we are pursuing something which is challenging, which is very selective, which is demanding because frankly it's demanding quite a lot in music when you are playing, especially, but even when you're teaching every time you go on stage, you actually have to prove yourself from zero. And even when the people know you, or you have to, I don't know, you start to have a real career and a lot of concerts, and your name started already to circulate, then you have to prove it even more because
Mhm.
they already expect something. So every time, I think in a lot of jobs it's the same kind of difficulties. Of course we are not saving people's lives, we are not
Mhm.
killing people with our job. I mean, everything is fine, it's an easy job, but still, there are some pressures, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, all right, great. All right, so last thing, can you just tell us about any projects, performances, or competitions you want people to look out for in the future that you're really excited about?
Yes. Well, for this year, actually, my main project will be to complete my studies in master saxophone. So I would say there won't be any major release of that the people can look at if they are not here. But I mean, this is my biggest project for the year,
Yeah.
and I'm really looking forward because since July of 2026, I will be helped as a musician to grow professionally by I would say a bourse. I don't know how to say this in English. A fund, let's say a fund, which is in Germany, and that's also a reason partly why I'm starting to learn German,
Hmm.
which will accompany me for 3 years and which will help me with my career.
Well,
And it's called the Mozart Gesellschaft, and
mm,
I'm really happy. I passed the selection process, so this for sure will bring some fruits, which will be visible, I think, also in the medias. As you may have noticed, I'm not someone who is really present every day in social medias or who tends to post a lot, because maybe I'm not yet in a phase where I'd like to share everything about
yeah,
what I do. So many things I really take the time to do them as experiences, to play, for example, a concert and not feeling the urge of putting somewhere on the internet. For now, I really enjoy also this fact of playing the concert in the moment and really giving the best I can without thinking already, okay, I have to film it because then I have to publish it. It's important,
yeah,
of course. Sometimes I do it, and there are some videos of me, of course, in the internet. But yeah, I don't feel that this is a goal for now. And then another important project will be with the quartet of play, and we are playing since 1 year together.
hmm,
So I think for sure there will be something coming up.
great, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I'll stop this recording in just a second. It was a huge pleasure getting to meet you, and thank you for being so generous with your time. You took a lot of time out of your day to talk to me, so I'm really grateful that yeah.
I was really happy to do